Today I'm going to show you how to create this particular dynamic and interactive Microsoft Excel dashboard from the scratch. In the previous video, we did create this particular one you have right here. So you might need to actually watch the first video for you to know how to transform the data and get it ready for analysis. Okay, let us look at what is actually different from what you had been saying or what you had been creating and why you should actually watch this video. So over here, as you can see, I clicked on this particular option called percentage of revenue. So this particular chart is expressed in percentage. And if I want to see it based on value, I can click on this absolute value right here. So now you can see revenue trend on a quarterly basis. So over here, this is how much we made in the first quarter, second quarter, and the third quarter, and the fourth quarter rather. So if I want to see it based on percentage, I can click on this one. And one of the beautiful things is that we can decide to see the quarter over quarter change by clicking over this option right here. We can now see between the first quarter and the second quarter, what is the change? We now have growth of 16% in the second quarter compared to the first quarter. And it went down in the third quarter and down again in the fourth quarter by 49%. Right? So the same thing that we have done now can be applicable to this one. When we decide to choose this one for our month, we now see the absolute value for every single month. Then for the percentage, when you click on the percentage, you can now see the percentage that is peculiar to every single month. So we made more revenue in the month of July because it's actually 14.1%, which is higher than any other month. And this is actually based on whatever we select from here, right? And all the slides that we have is going to change what we see. So the next thing again is when we click on the percentage change right here, we can see the changes between January and February is actually a growth of 11%, growth of 19%, and we now have some kind of downside right here. So 24% in April. So the revenue went down and it went very low in the month of September right here. You can see it's very simple. So if you look at this particular titles we have right here right now, they change dynamically every single time we make an option, right? And over here is much more interesting because it's giving you more context to this particular chart we have right here. If you look at it, it says the month of March, February, July rather, which were our top performers, generated up to 41.9% of revenue. And I told you it depends on what we have selected from here, right? So the same thing that actually applies to this chart, and this chart will be applicable to this very chart right here. You can decide to show this, and the percentage change will give you week over week change view. So over here, you can decide to actually highlight the top weekdays or the bottom weekdays. Is all your choice. And whatever we select from here, like now, what we can see is actually the absolute value automatically. If I decide to choose this now, you can see the expression. Then over here, this is what it is. And we have a dynamic slicer that filters our dashboard for us dynamically, which is something very, very simple. Okay. If you want to create with me, all you have to do is to make sure you download the resources file and open it up, read the PDF, and let's get started. If you have watched the first and the second part, it will be very easy for you to actually have this created. All you have to do is to make sure you right click on this particular part right here and go ahead and just say move or copy. Then just copy this dashboard and click on create a copy, then click on OK. Right? It's going to actually create a different copy for you. So now what you need to do is to go over to home and click over here. Then you go over to this particular select objects. Now aim this particular part and remove all of these. Now you're going to have something like this, right? So I already have this formatted for you. So let us just make it very simple. I'm going to get this away from here. Over here, I have this with these particular option buttons right here, like absolute value on revenue, percentage, and month-over-month change, which is very simple. Just go over to developer and click on insert, and you see the option button right here. You just insert it. Make sure you remove the text you have inside it, away, because you don't need to actually have the text as you're going to actually be creating your own text, right? So once you have gotten this done, the next thing right now is to make sure we link this somewhere. So for that, we are going to go over to this particular part right here and copy this very pivot table we have used before, or you can actually create a new pivot table by going over to the data source right here and click on insert. Then we insert a pivot table into a new sheet just like this. Okay, I don't want my pivot table to go, close to the edge here. I can just make sure I move it to where I want it to be. So right now we have this. I'm going to go over to revenue. I have my revenue here. I'm going to drag the revenue for the second time in here. Then once I've done that, I need to use the month. In case you don't have the month already, you can go to this particular transaction date here, drag it over here, and automatically it will create a grouping for you. So just go ahead and remove transaction date here. Now you have month. Let us quickly format this by going over to the top ribbon here, design. So grand total should be turned off. And this row labels here, we want to make sure it's showing month, and already it's showing month. So over here now, we want to show percentage here. So what I'm going to do is to double click on it and just show, percentage like this. And over here, we just want to show revenue. So all we need to do is just to say revenue. So if I try to hit my enter key to commit it, it will tell me we already have revenue sitting right here. So I can't do that. We need to trick pivot table to do that for us. Just put a space on it. Now it will allow you. So for this very one, right click on it and go over to where it says this particular show value as. Now, can you see? It is crazy. So here we're going to do month over month change. So we want to see the behavior of month over month change. It's very simple. All you have to do is to know how you should actually go by it. So for the month over month change, there is no month before January. So for that, we're going to skip that. So now that we're here with our equal sign, open brackets, so we want to take the current month and subtract it from the previous month and divide it by the previous month. Very easy. So what's our current month? Our current month now is February based on where we are sitting. So the previous month is January, right? So now I'm going to take this one, subtract it from this very one here, close and divide it by the same previous. Then this is what we have. So just go ahead and actually highlight this area, Control 1, and make sure you use the percentage here. Then we can go ahead and click on OK. So all I need to do now is just for me to copy this down. Here we go. So as you can see, we're having the changes of month. Now in this particular month between February and January here, we have 15% down, and here the growth is 13%, down by 8% again, increased by 7% and all of that. Okay, now that we have gotten this, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to create what I want to use for my charts. So just reference here and click over here again and reference this particular part, then hit your enter key. We can just go ahead and some kind of do this. So let us highlight this particular part and create our chart from it. If you are not good at selecting the best chart, you can always use the recommended chart right here, and it gets it right. So now this is what we want. Let's go with the line chart. Okay, I don't want to say this, and this one here should be gone. Make sure this particular value here starts from 0, which is very important. And over here, we can just get this off. This is what we want actually. So the thing we want to do now is that we want to show values right on this. If I go over here now and click on this and bring up the label, it's going to look some kind of weird to read. We can't read this. So for that, we need to create some kind of custom, column that will allow us to do something, very cool. So as you can see over here now, if I select revenue value, it's giving me this particular kind of value. If I select percentage, it changes what we see to percentage. And if I go to change, percentage change now, can you see what we see right here? So, and all other charts updates accordingly as well. This is exactly what we want. And over here, we have the top, and as well, we have the bottom right here. So how do we create something that looks just like this? So let's try it. So we're back here. The next thing we're going to do right now is to actually say, okay, we want to actually do data label. On this particular part, it's a little bit, different from what we have been doing. Let us go to our dashboard to here. So we're going to actually make sure we right click on this option button and we actually do format control. So make sure you clear what is here and go over to this and make sure you click over here. Then you click on OK. So here is 1, 2, 3. So if I click on this now, this is absolute value revenue, which is going to be this very one here. So we're going to put 1 here. So let's go back. If I do this now, this is revenue percentage. Now for revenue percentage, it's going to be this, which means this is our 2. And finally, this is our 3. So those numbers here, they're not important, but they can stand as some kind of reminder when we want to actually reference what is here, right? So what we need now is this. If you want to avoid doing cell referencing, all you have to do is to go to view here if this is not checked, and make sure you click on this particular part. And over here now, we can actually do choose option. So with the choose option now, we're good to go. It's optional. You can do it without having it named, but you have to always lock your cell every single time. So over here now, what we want to do is this. If it is equal to 2, that means we are some kind of selecting percentage. And when it is 3, we are doing month-over-month change. And when it is 1, we are doing revenue, right? That is what we have done. So if we come over here, we have absolute value to be 1, which it is this particular one right here. Okay, to get started right now, we're going to start with the if function. So with the if right here now, I'm going to say if this particular, our choose option right here is equal to, 2, then what we want is this particular percentage. So if I just go ahead and reference this and actually say, okay, we want that percentage, then we now say if this particular one here is equal to 3, we want to see, equals 3, then we want to see this particular one. And otherwise, we want to say this, and I hit my enter key. So it's going to return this back to us. Can you see it now? It doesn't really make any damn sense. It doesn't make any sense because it's equal to 1 now. It's giving us this. Let's go over here and make a change to percentage. Now, this is what we're going to have. So for that, we can't use this. Instead, what we're going to do now is to say if. So this very one here, which is this one, is equals to 2. So if this one, I'm taking that again. So if this here is equals to 2, then we're going to use a function called text function. So with the text function, we want to convert this into a percentage. Click on this and put a comma inside double quotes 0.0% and close this. So we're going to use that if again. So if this very one again is now equal to 3, then we want to use the text function again. And with the text function, what we want is to actually convert whatever is sitting here into 0.0%. Then we do this. So I can now just go ahead and close and test it out to see what it is that we have. So here we go. This is correct. So we can now use this on our chart. Click over here, click here, and more options. Move this over here. Now click on value from cell. We select this area and we click on OK. So we now turn the value off right here. So can you see how it is right now? This makes a lot of sense than what we had before. But something is not right here now. So click on this and make sure you Ctrl 1 to bring this back up. And let's go over here and go to marker. Let's go to marker option. Then we select bullet in, select circle, like this one here. So later we are going to actually, make sure we do more work on this to make it look beautiful. But right now, we're going to leave it this way. So can you now see it? What happens if I click on this month-over-month change right here? So we go back here now. Can you see? So here is 0% because there was no month before January. So 15% down, and it went up again by 13.9% and all of that. So can you see this now? But what now happens if we click on absolute value that we have right here? So let's go. It's giving us false. So this particular part, we need to do, a bit work to get this working, right? So what I'm going to do is just to move this away a little bit down here. So we're going to actually update what we have right here. So move out this particular two brackets. And now you put a comma right in it. Under if the value is false, we're going to actually use a function called switch. Otherwise, you can continue using if the Excel version you have currently does not support the switch function. So I'm going to use the switch function here, switch true, right? So comma right here. Sorry, I mistakenly clicked on OK. So with the comma now, what I'm going to do is to make sure I categorize this into million, billion, trillion. It depends on how much values you have right on this particular revenue right here. Can you see that now? So what I'm going to do for the first time is to say, okay, you know what? If this particular value right here is actually less than 1,000, which is less than 1,000, then we want to format it. So how do we do that? If it's less than 1,000, you put a comma, you're going to use the text function here and reference back here and say, okay, comma again. The format should be on hash point, hash. Okay, let's do comma, hash 0. Then you close this and have the bracket closed. Then we are done with that. So if it is less than 1,000, it's just going to give you like 100, 200, 300, that is just how it's going to give, the value to you. Then when you put a comma again now, what we're going to do is to say, okay, if this same value here, just reference this again. So if it is some kind of less than 1 million, right? If this value is less than 1 million, then what we want to use the text function again. So the text function now, what we are going to do is to say, okay, the text function should actually take this number here and divide it by what? By 1,000. Do you get it now? So let me just freeze this a little bit. I can just put a space on it and that will freeze it for me. Then I can actually make sure I move this so that you can see what is going on right here. So if I want to go back to it again, just double click and take off the space you have before the equal sign here. It will return this back to you. So once this is done, you put a comma inside double quotes. You want to do 0, then close this. So if you want 2 decimal places, you can do 0, 0,00. If you don't want that, you can remove it and just have this closed. And that is all you need to do. Then you close this. So this time around, this is going to be in 1,000 because it's less than 1 million. That means what we have is 1,000. We concatenate this particular K in uppercase to it. So that is all we need to do for 1,000. Now we're going to do for million right now. To do for million, we're going to reference this same number here and now say if this particular number is less than 1 billion. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Make sure you have 9 zeros, right? So what we want to have, we're going to use the text function again. The text function will take this particular number right here and have it division by million, right? Once that is done, we're going to do the format. So 0, close, and now we're going to do close ampersand. Inside here, we put M in uppercase. This is what you need to do, right? So now let us do for billion. If you want to do for billion, you have to put a comma right here again. It will switch to value 4. Now we're going to reference this and say if it is less than 1 billion, Oh, okay. Now here we don't have to use less than 1 billion because we're going to stop it right here. All we have to do is to just do straight formatting, right? By just having our comma, we do straight formatting. To do that straight formatting now, we need to actually just use a text function like this over here after the comma. And this text function is going to actually format this particular number by dividing it into 1 billion, right? Divide by. Then once that is done, the next thing is going to be 0, and we go ahead and close this. Over here, we are going to do be in uppercase, and 1, 2, 3. We have to make sure we close all our brackets. Can you see what I've gotten now? Very simple, right? So here we have this. Our chart has been updated automatically. Our chart has been updated automatically. Can you see it now? So I told you, if you want to see point something, all you have to do is to make sure you come over here. So here now we're going to have 0.0 or comma 0 rather. So here we have another comma 0. So track everywhere you have it and do under comma and 0 again. So let us hit our enter key and drop this down. Oh no, I think we flopped this. Let's do this again. So I think it's gonna be point. Let's do point. So we do 0.0 again. Can you see it now? 7.9 million. So it will not round this again. If you want something like this, so be it. But I don't want to. I'm going to do Ctrl-Z to actually bring it back to normal. So let us take this to our dashboard now and take a look at what it is that we have done. So can you see this? If I click over here, it changes to percentage. If I click over here now, it's giving us something like this. All right, this is cool. This is very, very cool. But one thing is not really clear. What if we click on this? How do we know if this is a month over month, if this is a percentage of revenue, and if this is absolute value for revenue? So we need to create what is called caption. Yes, we need to create caption for this. So how do we create this particular caption? It's very simple. We go over to our sheet for analysis. And over here, I'm going to call this one. So let's call this one caption. So with the caption now below here, we can use the switch function. We can use the if function. Let me show you the two, both the switch and the if. So if you don't have the switch function inside your current Excel version, you can use the if function. So first of all, let's go with the if. So equals here, if. Now we need to actually understand what it is that we're actually referencing. That was why I put those particular numbers right here, right? So this is revenue. And this is month over month change. And over here, we have the percentage. So first of all, let's say we want to see revenue trend on a monthly basis. So what we can do now, we're going to say if this particular one right here is equal to 1. So we put a comma right in it. So what we want is actually going to be revenue trend on a monthly. So basis. We're done with that. Put a comma right on it. So we nest under if. We can use ifs or we can use nested if. So we nest under if right here and say if this particular number right here now is going to be equal to, this time around we're going to do 3. Then what we want is going to be month. Let's do month over month change. Okay, we close this. Now we see otherwise. We want to put this one monthly revenue contribution by percentage. So can you see it now? This one is actually for if, using if. So this one is going to be using switch. So I'm going to show you how to use if and how to use switch. So now let us go with the switch function, using switch to create this and see how easy it is going to be. So all I need to do now is to actually say equals switch true. So switch true, then put my comma right here. So I'm just going to say if this very one here is equal to 1, then that will be my, for 1 now, comma inside here, it will be revenue trend on a monthly basis. So we reference again, if it is equal to 2, right? Then that means we're going to do inside here, monthly revenue trend by percentage. Now, the last one, we don't need to reference anything again. So we can just do month over month change. So it seems I flopped somewhere. Where could that be? So 1 here equal to 2. Over here we need a comma. Can you see it now? This is exactly what it is. We have used the switch function and the if function. What we have not used here is the ifs function. Without we doing some kind of nested if, can use ifs. This is what it is, right? So we have gotten this right now. It will be going into our dashboard right here, which we're not ready to actually, bring in here right now. So we have gotten this chart. What is next? So if you look at this particular part right here, this dashboard here shows underperforming weekdays on highlight. So if I do now, here it says top performing weekdays on highlight. And if I switch, it's giving me a different view. You can see here is actually, highlighting in the deep color the underperforming weekdays. And if I do this right now, the top 3 weekdays will be highlighted. So how did we come up with this? So it's very important. Let's get it. Now, over here now, we need to go back to the top ribbon here and insert. We now go ahead and, developer, we have to bring in a new option button. And quickly, we have to get this away. So if I do this now, and I want to bring this right here. So quickly, I want to just come over here and borrow this. Keep it right to this particular part, and it's going to be top. This one is going to be the bottom part of it. All right, so we have this now. Guess what happens if I should actually get this one in here and duplicate it, then have this one over here. So immediately I click on this one, it turns off what we have right here. If I click on this now, it's working. This one is working fine. It will turn off what is going on right here automatically. So what happens if I just decide to reference this somewhere? First of all, let us go back here and make sure we give a color to this particular part so that we can remember that, okay, we have something. I'm going to use red that depicts something, I think, I'm going to use red that depicts danger. Don't delete, otherwise something will happen. Okay, I've done that. I'm going to come over here and do another one right here. Just click and click here. Okay, right now, let us assume that we want to reference this very one somewhere by saying form control. Then inside here now, we now decide to reference here and click on OK. So let's see what happens. If I click on this one, it's not much changing. Why? It has moved the cell reference to this particular part, and my calculations are no longer saying this. This is a big problem, a terrible problem indeed. So how do we solve this? To have this solved now, we have to go back, right click and form control. We'll click here. As you can see, it's looking at this particular part. We have to make sure we shift it and bring it back here. Now everything will look right. Can you see it now? But still, if we come over here and click on top, it will switch all of those ones that, any of those ones that had been some kind of checked before. Okay, to have it solved now, make sure this very one here, you just do something like this. Make sure it's in the center of this particular white, how do I call it? This white line, white card we have on it. Then you can now go to the top ribbon, go to developer. We now go to insert. You're going to see where it says group box form control. Click on it. Now we're going to use that group box form control and make sure we cover this particular area like this. So once we have done this, if I now click on this one, can you see? So now they are all independent. This one is actually standing on its own. Likewise, this very one. We can now decide to right click on this one and say, form control now is empty. We can come over here and link it to this particular part. Then we click on OK. Now, if we go back now, we should be seeing 1. Then come over here. We should be seeing 2. Can you see this now? All right, it makes this place look a bit, rough. So I'm going to remove the text here. Still it's not looking good. What do I do? So click on this and duplicate this and resize this. Make sure it covers up this part here. Once it is done, Ctrl 1, come over here, the fill, say no fill. Then for the line, yes, we want solid line and the color should be white, right? So we want to make sure we increase the thickness here. So can you see it now? So that we can cover up for where we have this. Can you see it now? Although it has extended beyond this, the width or the height rather. So we just have to bring it down until we have what we want. So can you see it? Perfectly done. Now it has disappeared. We can still click on this one and it looks some kind of beautiful. So do you see the magic now? This is how you can control your option button, because if you don't do this, it's going to switch off the current one you have created and it's going to mess things up. So now this one is working 100% fine. No issues. All right, it is time for we to create the chart we actually have for it. So how do we go about creating the chart? This is going to be one of the easiest part of it. All you have to do is to come over here. Let us name this one to Analysis 2. Right. So I'm going to go over here and copy everything from here. Ctrl C. And over here, I'm going to do Ctrl V to drop it. So we have a new pivot table. Then instead of us looking at this, I want to go ahead and deselect month and use the weekday instead. So over here, I'm going to cancel up this particular part I don't need. Okay, let's see. Remove this one from here. So we're gonna bring in our weekday into here. So it's giving us some kind of weird stuff like that. Let's see what we can do. Okay. So what you can do now is just to make sure you deselect everything and you only select these weekdays that you have right here. So here we go. We can now chop off this part. Now we have this. So this is still giving us week over week change, which is something very interesting. But right here is not giving us what we are looking forward to seeing. All you have to do is just to make sure you highlight this area and highlight this area. Then you Ctrl+1, you go over to your custom format, then you put this. Here we go. We have everything right. Okay. Once we have gotten this now, it is fine. So I'm going to actually insert a new column in between here. Insert, and this one is going to be highlight. So now I have my highlight right here. So what I want to do now is to highlight the top 3 weekdays. You get it right now. To highlight the top 3 weekdays now, what I need to do now is to actually say, okay, 1, 2, and 3. So what I'm going to use is to use the max function, or you can use the large function. Let us go with the large function. So large function, look for the large number from here, and we want to use this as an option. So what I need to do now is to make sure I lock this very one down because I don't want to actually move it. So F4 key will help you to do that. So I can just go ahead and move this here. Can you see how easy it is right now? So the next thing now is that I want to find out the week day that has these numbers. It's very simple. So you're going to use the index function. So with the index function, the array is what you're looking for. So I'm looking for something from here. So F4 key to lock it down, F4 key, comma. For the row number, we use match to find it. And our match is going to like, okay, this is the lookup value. Where can we find this? We can find it here. So the F4 key will lock it down again. So 0 for, exact match. Hit enter key. Oh, here we have 100%. What did we do? 1, 2, and 3. So Ctrl+1. Let's see if I come over here now and turn this one into D. Now you can see this is what it's going to give you. So the reason why we have this here was because this particular cell had been pre-formatted into a percentage. So it's giving us 1, 3, and 2. So if I click on OK right now, it has fixed this for us. Okay. So the next we're going to do right now is to actually use the if function to move what we want into here. Okay. So I'm going to say, if this particular number here, this number here, we want to log this one because we did not name it. This number here, if it is equal to 1, then, okay, sorry, my bad. We want to create this one into 2. I'm going to copy this one, Ctrl C, and over here, I'm going to drop this one here. So here is my bottom part, and here is the top, right? So for this one now, instead of us to use large, we can use small. So we have different with this. Can you see it now? So this is what we have. So we can now go ahead and create our highlight here. So using the if function to say if this particular number right here is equal to 1. Before that, we have to F4 key to lock it down. So if it is equal to 1, then we are retrieving something from here. So in that case, we're going to use VLOOKUP to retrieve what we want to retrieve from here, right? And what we want to retrieve now, for it to use VLOOKUP, we have messed it up, except if we want to use XLOOKUP to get it done. Let us try XLOOKUP. So over here now, we're going to say X. Okay, I would love to use VLOOKUP so that if you don't have a version that can actually help make you to write XLOOKUP, you shouldn't lost in this particular part. So for that, I'm going to pull this one away from here and move it to this particular part. Can you see it now? This one and this one can be moved. So let us move this one. So, so now here is going to be if this particular one here with my F4 key is equal to 1, then we want to use the VLOOKUP function here to say, okay, we want to look up for this particular thing here. You get it right now? Then where can we find it? That is the lookup array. You can find it somewhere here. You highlight this area. And if it is found, what do you want to return? You want to return something from the third one, 1, 2, 3. So comma here, we put 3 over here. And that is all you need to do for now, right? So once you are done with this, you want to go exact match, comma again, you put this, you close this. That is for the first if it is true. Comma again, if it is false, then you're going to do another VLOOKUP again. Remember, you can use index and match, VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP for the same thing I'm doing right now. Then what are you looking up for? This very one here, comma, where? We want to search for something from here. So we do this. So we put our comma again, then we need to find what? The third one as well, and exact match, we close for our if. Unfortunately, we have not locked this particular part down. It's very important. So we need to do our F4 key. So we need to lock this down on that F4 key. If I hit my enter key right now, it's giving me NA. So if I go ahead and copy down now, can you see now? It found them over here. Very interesting, right? All right, let us create our chart by highlighting this particular 3 and go over here, go to insert and use the recommended chart. It's going to give you something like this. But unfortunately, we don't want a line chart. We want something like this. Then we click on OK. This is what we want. So we're going to take off this and this, then this very one. And finally, we don't want to use the grid lines. We can take it off. So what we're going to do is to actually make sure we overlap what we have here by using 100%. Now, let us move this to our dashboard and take a look at what it is that we have actually created. So if I go for top now, can you see? It will highlight the top for me, right? Bottom here, this at the bottom. And here, if we do this, it's showing the top, right? So we want to be sure if this is true by going over here again. And we come over here, we rank this by sort largest to smallest. As you can you see now? The largest one. So we have what we want, right? So the next thing we want right now, if we go back here, is for we to some kind of click over here and over here, then we bring in a data label. So, which is not really cool for now, because the data label should follow what is actually here, right? So what we need to do is just to click over here, Control 1, then we go to value from cell, we locate what we want. It's going to be from here. So we can now click on OK. Then we turn off the value. So here we go. So this follows whatever we select from here. Can you see it now? So this is going to be week over week change, but it's going to happen when we create our, caption. So over here, we can create our caption, which is something very simple that anyone can create without even looking at what we're going to have right here. Okay, for the caption now, we don't have to create the caption from the scratch. All we have to do is to copy either of those ones from here. I'm going to copy this one. So copy everything from here, right? Ctrl C to copy. So once we have done that, we're going to move it to this particular part here. So I'm going to name this one caption. So you have to change what we have inside here. So revenue by monthly basis, on a monthly basis. So this is going to be weekly. So month over month, week over week. So can you see now? We have just changed this. Those two charts right here fits from what we have going on right here as well. So the only thing is not going to feed from is this particular, percentage change we have here. It's going to default it to revenue, value. So, but when we click on this, it's going to switch. As you can see, it's affecting this as well. So how do we first of all create the chart before we integrate this to it? It's very simple. So let's do it. So we're back here. What we need to do is to make sure we some kind of create the pivot table. So let's go with this. So over here, I'm going to drop this here. And instead of us looking at this weekday here, we rather look at the week type. So which means we're going to get off this very one from here. So we don't want to see the week over week change. There is nothing like that. We're going to take off this very one from here. So once I have gotten this, the next thing I'm going to do now is just to make sure I reference this particular part right here. You get it right now. So we do this. So over here, I'm going to do some kind of bold so that it will stand out differently. Then over here now, we want to actually get our percentage in here. So we drag this down. So to remove this one now, Ctrl B, now we can Ctrl 1 to some kind of, let's do Ctrl 1 by highlighting this area. So with my Ctrl 1, I can just make sure it's on percentage, right? So here is going to be on 100%. So can you see it now? Very important. So here is going to be full percentage. Okay, so with the full percentage right there, what are we going to do with this? Let's go ahead and highlight this particular part, then go to the top ribbon here, insert, and we go for this particular chart. We click on this. So if you look at it right now, it's using 1 and 2 to represent these numbers, which is not really important for we to keep. So we can get them off. Then the next thing is to make this a little bit smaller. If I bring it down here now, we need to find where we have 72.58%. If I hover over this, it's not this one. This one is giving us 100%. Then hovering over this one right now, 72.8% is this one. So meaning this particular one can actually, be removed. So if I double click right now, I can come over here and say no fill and no fill right on this as well. So what I have now is just this very one here. And I can just go ahead and cut this away from here, take it to my dashboard, the one we are building, and or still Ctrl Z to bring it back here. So I'm going to just turn on the title, so it's going to be for weekday. I'll keep this one aside here. So with Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste it down. So we have a new one. If I right click now, I'm going to do select. All I need to do is to change to this very one here. and go ahead and click on OK. So we have this. So we have weekend right here. So this is our weekend, and this particular part should be gone. We want to remove it from here. So you can say now fill and now filter this. This is what we just want to have. So we have gotten these two charts created. This is the beginning of the whole stuff right here. So I'm keeping those charts here so that later, after all, we can have them arranged and create exactly what we want or what you have just seen previously. Okay, we have one more chart to go. Which is this particular revenue trend on quarterly basis, and it's actually gonna work with exactly whatever we select from here as well. Can you see right now it's changing, quarter over quarter change view. This is exactly what it is that we have, and it's something very simple. Let's go ahead and create it. So now that we are here, I'm going to move this away from here, Ctrl C, and over here I'm going to drop this into this particular part. So instead of us to be looking at this on a week type, so we want to take it off and remove this. Now we don't have quarter here, so what can we do? Let's just bring this in, and over here now we can right click and click on group. So we want to group by quarter as well. Then we click on OK. So now we have new grouping. It's going to distort what we have done. So for that we have to let's say no for now. No. Okay, no distortion. Yes, it did. So all we have to do is to make sure we correct it right here. We're going to take off this. Yes, we're going to take off quarter, and this is exactly, it has fixed this one for us. So we scroll to this end, fixed, no issues in that. So we only have this one to be fixed. So we're taking off this particular part and taking off month. We are left with quarter. This is what we have right here, right? I think the easiest way to most have done this is just to get this one deleted. Sorry for that. So delete this one from here. Once you have done that, let us quickly go over to let's go over here and highlight this particular part. So once done, we can just move this, drop this over here. So now we are going to move this away from here. So the quarter is already existing here. That is it. So we just get these ones off. So this is what we have. So for the quarter, we have this. We don't want to have any highlight on the quarter. We can get this one away from here. So we now have this. This is looking good already. Can you see it now? So if you look at this one here, that is cool. Then over here now, this is still looking at exactly what we have, the choose option we have actually, named the other time. Here, let me take you to it. I'm talking about this very one here. This is what we are still using, right? So very simple. So now we can quickly create our chart with this very one here by just highlighting this environment here. We go to insert and we bring our chart up. So we're going to get this one away, and as well we take off this very one. We just make sure we do something as small as this. Can you see it now? So quickly we just go ahead and do this, and you know the drill. Just double click, and over here we want to select this particular range. Then once we click on OK, we can turn off the value from here. This is what it is that we have. Okay, we have gotten this right. Ctrl X to bring it into here. So I'm going to tell you firsthand that we have actually done every single thing we need to do. So the next thing right now is to actually arrange all our charts and make our dashboard look beautiful. And if there is one thing I have not done, is just the title. So all you have to do is just to copy the previous one you have actually created. I'm talking about this analysis 2 here. We have to scroll to this particular part. and make sure you copy this one. So once copied, we can come over here and just Ctrl-V to paste it. Okay, over here we need to use quarterly. Can you see it now? So we can use Q for quarter, QTR for quarter. Over here we have to make sure we open. So we have to do the same thing, QTR for quarter as well. So here is gonna be, can you see it now? This is as easy as ABC. So we have gotten this right. All we have to do is to make sure we create this particular chart to look normal, just like what we have seen in this in the completed file. It is time to create the background of this particular dashboard. So all I'm going to do is just to click on this one, then over here and right here. Then I'm going to move this down. So let's just keep it beneath here. So now it is time for we to create the cards we're going to be using. So over here, we have those cards here, which is very simple to be created. In case you want to see how I got it created, go over here and click on insert. Then you can see here illustration, and I have shapes. Then you click on edit of this one, drag it down, change the color you want to use for your cards or your shapes. Then you can choose any color of your choice and come over here to remove the outline if you want, and eyes up. Okay. We want to do some special designs right now to make this more stand out. How do we do that? It's very simple. So I'm going to click on this one and Ctrl-D to duplicate it. Once I've done this, I can do Ctrl-1. Then let's go over to gradient fill right here. So we have this selected. This is not what we want though. So what I'm going to do now is to take off one stops out of these particular stops we have right here by clicking here. Then we have this left. So I'm going to push this in the middle, then come over here and choose white. Then click on this particular one, come over here and choose this particular color. So this color is actually the same color with this one. Then do the same thing to this very one here. Then you do this. Or still, let me use this one that is not that bright. So let's use it on this one. Okay, once we have gotten this done, let's come over to the direction, click on here and choose this particular one that has right. Okay. Once done, make sure you some kind of position it and cover up this particular one that we have right in it. Then right click, go over to send to back. Now we have this. So we push this one inside to look just like this. Now we want to push it a little bit up. This is what we actually want to have right here. Can you see now? This is looking more standard than what we have before. Then to do the same thing to this one, you have to Ctrl-D to duplicate, then use the gradient fill. But unfortunately, this is not how we want the direction to go. Come over to direction here, then click on it and change the angle to something like this. So once done, you can just position it and make sure it covers everywhere. Right click and send to back. So here we go. Just have to push it out a little bit. This is what I want to be here. So because I don't want something down here to appear, I can do Ctrl-Z now and just move it up a little bit. So now I only have this one side here to appear. So to do the same thing to this very one and this one now, you can do Ctrl-D at the same time. Then over here, I'm going to come and do gradient fill. And now I'm going to change the direction to this very one. Then I have to position it rightly the way it should be. Just like this, then right click and send all of them to back. So once done, it is time for we to just use the up arrow key to show it a little bit. So let's see what we have. Now, can you see it now? This is something much more better than what we have done before. So now we have those cards here. It's time for we to bring up our visuals. So how do we do that? Very simple. Let's go down. Okay, over here, I'm going to click over here, then I'm going to right click and bring to front, then move it up. So once we are here, it is time for we to position things the way they should be. So I'm going to click over this one and bring it here. Then I'm going to actually adjust it to look just like this. Then I'm going to move this up a little bit. So once done, you can just click on this one and remove the grid line. So double click on it and have this up to remove the fill and the outline. So once you're done, click over this particular one right here. Then we can go over to this particular part and choose this color. So if this color does not pop the way you like and you want to actually adjust the color, click back on it and click more colors. Then you can actually do your adjustment over this particular part, which is okay. So we can click and here we have color that stand out. All right, the next thing is for you to click over here and the gap width should be some kind of increase. Let us use 70. 70 is cool. So I'm going to do 70. So that is better, right? So now this is what we have. We can just move this away and click on this one, fill and no line as well. All right. So we're going to come over here and align this to this spot. Then we just have to move this, right? So once we have this now, I can just make sure I move this up a little bit. Now we can decide to some kind of do Ctrl B to bold this, or still we can leave it the way it is. So if you want to bold this, is all your choice. So you can leave it the way it is right now. So if I click over here now, there we go. This is it here. And it seems to have issue on this one. It's giving us 0.0%. Let us go ahead and check out what is going on. So we should be on month. So on month here, let's see. Okay, as you can see, something happened right here. So this particular value we have here had been cleared for unknown reason. I don't know how it happened. It seems I messed around with it when I was doing some works. So let's see how we can fix that. So what I'm going to do is just to type in here month over month change. Okay. I'm going to skip the first, cell, then go to the next one with my equal sign, open bracket. So what we need to do now is to actually take this particular one from this one, close and divide it by this very one right here. Then we hit the enter key and this is what we have. So if I just go ahead and drag this down right now, currently I have what I want, right? So if you want to format this one, you can use this particular one to format it by clicking over to home. You come over here, you can highlight this particular environment here, right? So doesn't work. Why does it not work? Let me tell you why. This one here is a text. If you look at it, it has been turned to text. So it's not more numbers, right? If you look at it, our numbers float to the right-hand corner, while the values is some kind of text values floating to the left-hand corner. That is it. So to make sure we correct this one now, we can highlight Ctrl 1 and go to this particular percentage here. You can take off some decimal. Then here we go. Can you see? Here is going to the right. This one is going to the left because it is a text. All right. So we have gotten this right. Let's get back here. And now the situation is being, taken care of. Okay. If you look at this line here, I don't like it. Ctrl 1 to bring this up and click over here. Then over here, we just have to choose this. All right. So if you look at it right now, this is not really standing out the way I want. So I have to make sure I make some adjustment to those dots we have right on it. So how do we go about it? It's very simple. Click on these particular dots here. Come over to here. Go to marker. So make sure you have this up and change it to this circle in case you don't have it already. Once done, you can decide to change the size to be bigger than what it is right now. So I'm going to leave it at 5, right? So make sure you go to the field and change this to, I want something more brighter, but not as bright as as light as the line. So we can go over here now. I'm going to choose this one. Let us take a look at it. So this is what we have. This looks much more better on it than what we had before. The next thing is to work with what we have right here. You can just go ahead and do this and give this. So can you see it now? Okay, once done, double click and push this over here. Go to no fill and no fill right here. And over here, I'm going to change this color to match the colors I've been using, like this very one here. So for the selected one, I want to change it to a different color. So more brighter color could be used for this. Let's go with this. Can you see it now? So whenever I make a change to the bottom right here, it highlights those particular bottom area. So nobody can tell what is going on right now until we bring up our captions here. But you don't worry, just watch me as I do all of this. Now, let us move this away from here. I'm going to click and click over here, then Ctrl X to move it to my dashboard. So we're in the dashboard environment right now. I'm going to have this pasted in here, right? So the very first thing I want to do is to make sure I ascertain the size I want to use to get it done. So it's going to be right here. So I have to make this smaller. Set this one up first before you do any other thing. So I'm going to keep this over here. So Ctrl Z. So aim this one and find its position. So it's going to be somewhere around here. So if I'm very much saturated with this, I'm going to click this, Ctrl 1 to bring this up. And for the whole, you can just make it a bit thicker, just like this. Okay, let us put it at 60. This is better, right? So what I'm going to do right now is to make sure I delete this one away from here, right? So I'm going to go with this very one. Double click on this one first. Sorry, yeah, let's go with this and take off every single thing you have right here. So this is what we have right now. So what I'm going to do is to actually make sure I click on it and Ctrl C, Ctrl V to paste it down to click. Then you can now have something like this. So if you look at it, I can just make sure I move this down to have the space I want to use. So this is good. So all I'm going to do now is to actually right click on this particular one. You can just hover over it. You can see this one is expensive, you know, and if I right click now, I can go over to select data. Then here we go. We can move this away from here. Now move this. We can now select this particular area. Then we'll click on OK. So here we go. All we have to do is to click on this one here. Make sure you double click until you see this particular color that we have here appeared. Then you can say no fill and no line. This is what it is. Okay. Once we have done this now, you can see this is not reflecting whatever we select from here, although we don't have filter yet on it. So what can we do next? To create the kind of chart we want, we can change this color to match what we have on our dashboard. Let's go with this particular color here. Now over here, I'm going to click on this one, double click to make sure this particular part alone is selected. Let's come over here and match it to this particular color on our dashboard. So once done, let's go to the top, go to Insert, go to Illustrations, Shapes, and click on this circle. So you can hold your Shift key down to have the perfect circle just like this. So bring it over here and position it in the middle of this particular place. Let's go ahead and take off the fill color. Then we are left with what? We are left with the outline. Then for the outline, I'm going to actually increase the outline to be some kind of 2 points like this. So with the 2 points here, I can go over here and change its color to match what I have here. Let's go with this. Okay, this looks better. So I'm going to make it more than 2 points. Okay, I think I'm going to go with this very one here. Once we have this now, the next thing I'm going to do is to make sure I double this and move it away from here. Keep it right here. Then I'm going to aim this particular chart I have here, right click, and I am going to bring to front. Can you see it now? This will look more beautiful when we start using slicer. You see how it will go. So right now I'm going to just take this one, keep it right somewhere around here. And all I have to do is to make sure I select the chart itself like this. So once done, I can right click, or still you can go over to the top ribbon, go to align and align center. Then you can do align middle. It will justify this for you accordingly the way it should be. So you see that now? So all I need now is just to make sure I do some work myself, just to make sure I push it to where it should belong. This is what I have. So currently I have to make sure I aim the chart itself. This is the chart here. Right click and you do bring to front. Can you see it now? So this is going to be much more interactive when we start using slicer on it. Let's just bring slicer from the previous dashboard. So I'm going to go with this particular slicer here. All right, getting back here now, I'm going to paste this one over here and move it to be somewhere around here. Okay. So once I've done that, I can just start using this. As you can see, it's not interactive because we have not connected this particular slicer to what we have here. It's only connected to the top one here. So let's go ahead and make sure we align it properly. Right, so I'm going to come over here now under this particular one. I want to click on this one here and just go for this very design. So I'm going to click, okay, I think it's pivot table analyze. So click over here and this one is going to be analyze to month. I want to name it after what I can remember. So I'm going to copy this particular part. Then I'll just paste and just add a little on it. So once we have done this, we have to make sure we go over here. So click on this one, then we come over here. So here will be weekday. So come over here now and we'll click on this one. So it will be week type. So next again is for we to make sure, I think it's done. We can come over here now. We can now right click on the slicer and we do report connection. So once done, we can just make sure we do this. Can you see now? It's very simple to locate. We have to connect this particular, location to this. See that? So can you see? Updated. So I have run the connection for every part of our dashboard, including this particular one. If I put the figure right now, you can now see that everything is working quite well. So let us bring in the value that is peculiar to this particular part. But we have not done that. Let's go over here. And if I should scroll to this end, here we go. We can bring in what we want to have here into here now. So it's very simple. Let us come over here and borrow from what we have right here. I think we have 2, 3. So let's some kind of copy everything from here. So we bring it over here. So now we have this here to make sure this is reflecting what we want. Now I think we need to change this particular part here to this very one. Then we're going to do the same thing to this particular part. So we change it to this particular one right here. We don't have to do this from the scratch. So once we are done, we have to make sure we come over here and change this one to this one. So because we're going to be doing a lot, so I can just go ahead and copy this one, Ctrl C to copy, then just double click on this particular part, Ctrl V, and over here, you do Ctrl V again, you do Ctrl V on this one, Ctrl V right there, and Ctrl V right here. So verify and make sure every single part of it is being some kind of linked to where you want it, right? So here is giving us, let's go for this particular one here. We have to change this to this very one. So if I hit my enter key right now, I have 30% here. Here is giving me some kind of weird. So what happens here is that it's moving, and let's see how we can control this. Okay, I think the issue is from here. Let's take off this dot here and hit the enter key. So let's copy this again down. Oh, this should be right. So now it's working quite well. This is what we actually want. So what else do we do? We just have to go back here, and now we can pick up any of this and borrow it and bring it up to this level here. So quickly go ahead and bring this up. So let's highlight this environment, and we're bringing in this particular 30% for week, and just do this. Okay, once we have this, we have to make sure we go to the top here and increase the size. So make sure we make it bold and increase the size a little bit. Then we have to match the color to what we have as a content inside it. So here we go. Now you can stretch it to make sure it shows the percentage as well. So we can go ahead and duplicate this using Ctrl D and bring this one over here. Then we quickly need to change this particular one to match what we have here, 70%, right? Then you can click on this one to give the same formatting to it and change the color. So for the color, we have to go over here now and choose something like this. This is better. So what happens if I'm using the absolute value? I have this, right? So if I change to month over month change, at default, it's going to actually return back to percentage. That is what it is. And this percentage has nothing to do with the month over month. It's going back to retain the original percentage of what? Of revenue for either weekend or weekday, right? So what we need is now next is some kind of going over to the top ribbon, go to insert and click over illustration. Then we click over shapes. Then we are going to use this. Let's go with this. So I'm going to just get this right here and drag it a little bit, just like this over here. Then we do Ctrl-1 and we come up with this, no line. And I'm going to match it with what I have here. So once done, you can bring this over to this particular part. So aim the edge and we want to give it to this very one here. So once done now, we have created another legend for our work. So what I'm going to do now is just for it some kind of, let's us borrow this one, bring it down to this particular part here. And let's go over to our analysis tool. And if we bring for 30%, it's going to be week. And so here we go. So we'll keep this over here. So just take your time to adjust this yourself. It's going to be some kind of cool. So we go with this one. Here we go. So once done, you can select both of them, change the color to match what you want. So here we go, like this. All right, so let's say we are done with this. The next thing is for we to fill up all of this particular part right here, which is very important. So let's some kind of get this duplicated and bring this over here. I'm going to have to open it up like this. So we're going to go to where we have our quarter writing. And we'll pick up this very one. Then duplicate it using Ctrl D and bring this over here. So let's go for the month. So for the month caption here we go. So we have for the month. So remember, whatever we do here changes what is here. So we have for the weekday. So we are going to bring for the weekday. So let's go for this one for the weekday. Then we can just highlight this environment here and we locate where we have the weekday rising. So week over week is selected. Can you see it now? It's better. So now we have all of this. So what we need to do now is to some kind of hold our control key to select them. And we can go over here to increase this. So can you see what we have? So this is now more descriptive than what we have before. But the thing is this, I'm not feeling cool with what I have right there and here as well. So I think we have one more thing to be actually brought forward here. And we have one more thing here as well that will give more meaning to our chart and give more context to what we have. So let us first of all go with the month. If we go back here for the month, we're right here on the month. So I want to actually add some couple of, columns here. Then I have more space. So having this here now, what I'm going to do is to actually number from 1, 2, and 3. I believe you must have known what I want right now. So I can just type in here reference. Then over here, we're going to do top 3 month values. So here will be months. Okay, what we're going to do now is to actually use the large function here. Using the large function, we're going to extract the top from here. Using the comma key, we want the top 1, top 2, and top 3, right? So what we need to do is that we have to log this particular place down because we want to copy down. So here we go. We have this, and I can just go ahead and do this. Okay, I think we have done this previously. The next thing I'm going to do right now is to make sure I some kind of find out which month has this number. So it's equals index. So index says array. Array is what it is that you're looking for. So we are looking for something like this here. So because we're going to copy down now, we do F4 again. So we put a comma right here. And now for the row number is which particular row can you find this 264137. So we're going to use match function to find that for us. So the match function now is asking for lookup value. We are looking up for something like this, but we don't want to return this. We want to use it to return month. So for that, we're going to select where we have the value here is going to be from here. Then we do the F4 key again, put a comma, 0 for exact match. We close the match, we close the index, we hit our enter key. It has given me April. Then I can just move this down. So with this right now, we want to know what percentage representation do we have between April, August, and March. So here is going to be percentage contribution. So for the percentage contribution now, it's very simple. Use the sum function here to sum up all of those values you have here, then close and divide it by the sum of all the total value over here. Then close and hit the enter key. Then if we do Control 1, we can bring it to percentage. Can you see it now? This is beautiful. All right, why are we doing all of this? We want to actually create much more, caption that would add more meaning to our chart. So I'm going to do caption. All right, so over here now, what I'm going to do is to do equals, I'm going to use a function called the text join. So using the text join function, we can define our delimiter just once using this particular double quotes, space, and that one closes it. So you skip what? A comma, you have to skip the empty cells if there is any. Now for the first text now, it will be the month of. Now we can now close this one. then we put a comma right here. So now I have the month of, I have now to reference this, the month of April, right? That is the first text here, comma. So inside here, I'm going to put another comma in between this text because comma is seen as a text. So that is the fourth text now, August. Then we put another comma. Inside here, I'm going to put and March. So can you see it now? So we can now put comma. Inside here, we're going to put which were out think so. So we're gonna say the month of April, August, March, which were our top. Let us use the hour here, our top performing month. Generated up to now. It is time for we to use the percentage, right? We can now close this one. So we'll put a comma right here. We use the text function. The text function can convert this into a percentage. So we now have a comma right here. We now do 0.0%. We close this. We have this closed. So comma again from that text inside of quotes. So we can type off our revenue. So can you see it now? So here is giving us, I think I made a mistake here, don't worry, I'm going to correct it. It says the month of April, August, and March, which were our top performing month, generated up to 0.4. Don't worry, let's come over here now. So we have to put in percentage here. So can you see? 44.4%. So now corrected. So if we now go back here now, you can now see the reason why I have this here. You can just highlight this environment and click over here to get this very one here. So what I'm going to do is just to make sure I open this up a little bit so I can keep this over here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to come over to this particular part here. Then we make sure we match it with a blue color. Let's go with what can match this. Okay, can you see this right now? This actually helps us to add more context to what we have right here. So do you remember when I said we want to have something here? I presume I have created something like that. Let's see if that is true. No. Let's delete this one from here and this one from here. Okay, I think I did not create it. Let's go back here now. So when we click on top, it's giving us 1. As you can see over here, it's giving us 1, right? So when we click on the bottom, let's see what it gives us. It's going to give us 2. So for that, we can include another caption here that says text join again. So now, what we want to have here now is when 1 is created. So it's going to be now if. So using the if to control what is here. I'm not going to copy it down, so I don't need to lock. So if this particular number is equal to 1, then what we want is going to be, so it's going to be top so now otherwise so you can see this now. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring this over to here by highlighting this particular spot and come over here and pick this. So now we can match this. So can you see? This is exactly what you need. So if I go to view and turn off this now, you can now see what we have right here. Let us see the previous one we have created. I think, here we go. So this is the previous one right here. It's of no difference from what we have just created right now. Everything works perfectly well. So here you go. You can just interact with this just like this. So I believe this will definitely help you to actually create more dynamic and interactive Excel dashboards so well. So if it does, please do subscribe to this particular channel. So thanks for watching. See you in my next video.